All right, Titans fans, it is time to release my first, in essence, big board rankings of my Titans prospects. As you know, here at the Titan Upload Network, I'm the draft guy, and I've been watching players and ranking them and grading them, and I finally feel comfortable enough to release kind of a version of my big board. I'm going to give you my top 15 players with the Titans pick at 11th. I have a good feeling the Titans are going to be able to select one of these 15 players at pick 11. A little background: when I graded these guys, I didn't do it as my normal grading system. Normally, when I grade prospects, I grade it off of traits and projecting their role in the NFL, which can be difficult at times because you're trying to project how a guy might fit within multiple schemes, multiple different teams. So here, I'm excited to do this with the Titans because when I grade these players, I can grade them how they're going to fit specifically with the Titans and specifically with this roster. Now, these aren't set in stone. A lot of these players, I've maybe finished up my evaluation on them, but depending on what the Titans do in free agency, what they do potentially in trades or cutting guys, we could see this board continue to shift. But like I said, I'm going to give you my top 15 players on my Titans board and kind of see what you all think. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I think my number one prospect, I actually have two guys at the top with the same grade, and that is Jalen Carter and Will Anderson. These are my two best players in this draft. On my regular big board, they're 1 and 2. Here for the Titans, they are 2. I think these guys both are instant, immediate guys. They're guys that are going to come in and they're Pro Bowl type talents. I have Jalen Carter number 1. I like him a little bit better than Will Anderson, but I think we're kind of splitting hairs. Jalen Carter, to me, reminds me a lot of Ndamukong Suh. Just a strong, powerful defensive tackle, but yet he's got the agility, he's got the explosiveness to be an interior pass rusher. I think you pair him up with Jeffrey Simmons, and you've got two defensive tackles that could really wreak havoc on opposing defenses. You got Simmons on the one side, you could still have your nose tackle on the inside, and then you've got Jalen Carter on the outside. I think his ability his lateral agility, his burst is a perfect fit within Mike Vrabel's defense. Will Anderson, like I said, is right behind him, more of an outside rusher. Once again, I don't think outside linebacker is a big need per se. Who knows? They could eventually cut Bud Dupree. You got Rashad Weaver. You're getting Harold Landry back, but I think Will Anderson is just too good, so he's not going to be available at 11. But for some reason, if he was, you would jump at the chance to pick him, and you're going to put him there opposite of Harold Landry, and he's going to have success. Some people have compared him to Von Miller. I don't necessarily see that comparison. I think he's a lot bigger than Von Miller is, but he's got explosive speed. He's got his agility is off the charts. And once again, I think that'd be a great fit in Vrabel's defense, being able to loop, rush off the edge, loop inside. I think he could do a lot with what they do. Players 3 through 5, once again, are kind of grouped as well. These are the quarterbacks. These are your top 3 quarterbacks. I have Bryce Young, number 3, Will Levis, number 4, and C.J. Stroud, number 5. I graded all of these players as guys that would be able to come in and be a starter day one. I think if the Titans are an interesting spot with their quarterback position. You got Ryan Tannehill, but there's a good shot he's not going to be on the roster. You drafted Malik Willis in the 3rd round last year, but and he started some games, played some games, and he has some promise. He has some potential. I just don't think he's anywhere close to being starting ready, especially being your go-to guy. I think he could be a spot guy like they did this past year. I just don't think he's ready. So picking at 11, they're within that striking zone of taking a quarterback. They'll probably have to trade up to do so, but they're within that striking distance, and there has been some murmurs. There has been some rumors that potentially they have talked to teams and look to move up. Like I said, Bryce Young is number 3. I think he's the best quarterback in this class. I mean, he's got a lot of what you want. He's decision maker, his ability to make quick reads, to see and read defenses, throw accurately. He's got all of that. The things that concern me, the reason why I don't think he's a slam dunk pick, like maybe a Trevor Lawrence or a Joe Burrow or one of those guys, is his size, and I don't think he has that elite arm strength. He's got enough arm strength to be good in the NFL and be a franchise quarterback, but he doesn't have that cannon for an arm. And let's be real, there's a good chance he's under 5'10" and 180 pounds. We've seen smaller quarterbacks recently with Kyler Murray, with Baker Mayfield, with Tua Tagovailoa struggle with injuries, getting beat up, or in Baker's case, just not end up being as good as people thought he was. So those are my concerns with Bryce Young. But I think if you have a shot to take him, I still think you should do that. Will Levis and CJ Stroud, I have them identical grade-wise. They both have a lot to like, and they also have some concerns. CJ Stroud, I have as my fifth prospect. Will Levis is the fourth. Will Levis, I think, has higher upside. He's got he's got a big arm. He's big. He's athletic. He's played in a pro-style offense the last 2 years at Kentucky. I think he throws with good anticipation in the short to intermediate. Sometimes his deep ball accuracy can be a little scattershot, but I think that's something that could be coached. That's something that could be developed. I think he just kind of winged the ball at times. And then C.J. Stroud, like I said, I think he's the better thrower. He's a better passer, shows good anticipation. He's got a good arm too, can make those deep throws. The thing that concerns me about him is he is a little bit too much of a statue in the pocket. Now, statue's a bad word. He can move, and we saw him move well against Georgia, but that was by far his best movement of any game he played. Too often in other games, he was slow to react. He struggled to get out of that pocket. He's not a quick twitch guy. He's more of a build-you-up speed, and that's what we saw against Georgia. He was able to pick up and scramble for yards, but it wasn't because he made a quick move to get away from a defender. It's just there wasn't anything there, and then he was able to build up that speed. And so, like I said, I have these guys ranked identical, and so what gives Will Levis the step up, I think, is that mobility. I've missed on quarterbacks before, and usually the guys I miss on are the ones that aren't the athletes, and I just think that's why Will Levis is a better athlete, so that's why I have him as my fourth prospect ahead of C.J. Stroud. Paris Johnson Jr., I think this is one of the top targets if the Titans stay at 11 to go for. I think the best tackle in this class. Here's a guy that's, his best is as a left tackle, as a pass protector. He's got good agility. He's got good footwork. He's got good lateral agility. He's got the ability to get depth. I think him as a pass protector, he is a very good prospect. As a run blocker, he's not a powerful guy. He's not going to move people in the run game, but he does have better power than people think. He's more of an occupy, seal you off type guy, but I think he can do it in I think he can hold up as a run blocker. I think the Titans want to, yes, they've relied on Derrick Henry, and they're going to continue to do so, but they need to get better as pass protectors, and I think putting Paris Johnson at left tackle gives you a chance to be a better pass blocking team. Now, right behind him at number 7 is Peter Skoronski. Once again, I have these guys similarly ranked, but the reason why I have Paris Johnson as the 6th prospect and Skoronski as my 7th is because I think there's more concerns about whether Peter Skoronski can play left tackle or in the NFL. I think he is a guy that might end up moving inside to guard, which, once again, the Titans need a new left guard, in my opinion, too. Aaron Brewer was not very good last year. And so I like Skoronski. He's quick. He's agile. He's shown in college to be able to hold up on the edge because he's got that athleticism. Does he have the length? Can he have the power to hold on? That's why I think maybe moving inside to guard would be a better fit for him. But, if the Titans took him at 11 or wherever they took him and they try him out at left tackle and it doesn't work, and they slide him inside the guard and he ends up being a really good guard, I still think it's a win. All right, pick number 8, I have a cornerback. I really think cornerback is a need for the Titans, but I think this might be a position that they might attack in free agency. I like Roger McCreary. I like the LSU corner, that's name's escaping me. I like those guys a lot. Christian Fulton. And I think they're good corners. I just think they need that extra guy. And Caleb Farley hasn't panned out. Elijah Molden's struggled to stay healthy. They've had other guys, and it's been a committee of randos playing that third corner, and I think they need somebody. You know, you're looking at this division. You got to go against Trevor Lawrence and that pass attack. Indianapolis is going to get a new quarterback. Houston's going to get a new quarterback. You need 3 good corners, especially playing, nickel like every NFL team does. And so I think if you get a good corner here, you can move McCreary in to the slot, and you have those good 3 corners. And I think Devin Witherspoon, who's my 8th rated prospect for the Titans, I think he'd be a perfect fit. He's a do-it-all corner. If he was – but he's only 6 foot, so he's a little bit smaller. It's not small, but it's still a little bit smaller. If he was like 6'2", which is crazy, like 2 inches, I think we'd be talking about him as a potential top 5 pick. Here's a guy that's got Devin Witherspoon's got good speed. He's physical. He plays the ball well in the air. He's got the ability to stick with receivers in and out. He's got good awareness. He's literally got it all, except for height. And so I think he'd be a good fit. Put him on one side, Fulton on the other, put McCreary inside, and once again, I think the Titans have 3 corners that they can rely on. All right, pick number 9, we're going back to the offensive line, and this is Broderick Jones. And I know this is one of those things. I really like Broderick Jones, and I really think he's a good fit for the Titans. But the ghost of Isaiah Wilson have to be haunting Titans fans, and you think, oh no, a Georgia offensive tackle who's a redshirt sophomore, that has to maybe make you a little nervous. It shouldn't, because you can't – Isaiah Wilson was Isaiah Wilson, and you can't hold that against Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones for basically a year and a half has been the starting left tackle for Georgia. Done well, held his own against Will Anderson, kind of shut him down in their games against Alabama. He's a physical blocker. That's why I think he's a good fit for the Titans. So if they ended up taking him, if they had a chance for Broderick Jones, Paris Campbell Jr., and Peter Skoronski, and they took Broderick Jones, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me, because I think he's like the perfect fit. I think the other guys are better, but they're also older. They've played longer. They've developed more. Broderick Jones is still a little bit of a work in progress, especially as a pass protector. He's got the agility. He's got the ability to get depth, the athletic ability to be a good pass protector. He just needs some more seasoning. But as a run blocker, this guy can get after you. He's going to they play Keon White's a guy for Georgia Tech who's getting first-round buzz. In Georgia's game against Georgia Tech, Broderick Jones shut him down, picked him up at times in the run game, and moved him out of the way. And that's why I think you're still going to be a run-heavy team with Derrick Henry. A guy like Broderick Jones could come in, be that stout run, that tough run blocker, while he's developing as a pass protector. And so I like him a lot. That's why he's my 9th rated player. At number 10, I have linebacker Drew Sanders. I think he's a perfect fit for this defense. The Arkansas linebacker, he's a guy that started his career at Alabama. He was an outside linebacker pass rusher, started some games, didn't really have a ton of success, ends up transferring to Arkansas, and they moved him off the ball, and he just blew up. And I watched a couple of his games, and he stood out to me right away, and I'm like, gosh, this guy looks like T.J. Watt out there at times. So I remember T.J. Watt at Wisconsin kind of played more of, I wouldn't say a stacked linebacker, but he was out in space a little bit more. Drew Sanders, he can move in space. He can cover backs and tight ends out of in coverage. He could drop into zone coverage. And then they blitzed him a lot, especially off the edge or even up the middle, and he had a lot of success. And I think in this defense, pairing him up next to Long at the linebacker position, you've got two guys that can kind of do it all, that can blitz, can drop into coverage, can cover guys man to man, can run and chase and tackle the ball. And I just think he'd be a perfect fit. And to me, he reminds me of a Zaven Collins, who came out a couple years ago and went to the Cardinals, and he was a name that was rumored to the Titans. He's with Arizona now. Anthony Barr, who went to the Vikings, reminds me kind of him. He's 6'5", he's long, he's athletic, he can rush. Like I said, I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick, to be honest with you, but I think he's a guy that I said is perfect for this defense. Another guy that I think is perfect for this defense is my 11th rated player for the Titans, and that is Texas Tech defensive end Tyree Wilson. And he's a guy that I could potentially see moving up. Defensive end for Texas Tech, I think he's if he's going to play well in the NFL, he's going to play for a 4-3 team who puts him on the edge, or he's going to play for a 3-4 team that's going to attack, and that's what the Titans are. Once again, another perfect fit. You pair him opposite of Jeffrey Simmons, and he's basically a better version of Danico Autry. A guy that's maybe a tweener defensive tackle, defensive end, that you just move and slant and loop, and he's going to wreak havoc. He was one of the best, if not the best, defender in the Big 12 this past year. Highly productive for Texas Tech. He had back-to-back 7 sack seasons for Texas Tech, double-digit tackles for loss. He was practically unblockable at times. 6'6", over 250 pounds. He's long. He's athletic. I just, once again, I think he'd be perfect in this defense, and I think he'd be an upgrade over the cast of characters that they have next to Jeffrey Simmons. At pick 12, we're going offense, and here's a guy that I've mocked to the Titans quite a bit, and that is USC's Jordan Addison. Didn't have the huge year that we would have thought coming from Pittsburgh after winning the Blitnikoff. Had dealt with some injuries, dealt with some offensive line struggles at USC at times. But here's a guy that's got some juice, and he's a deep ball guy, but he's much more than that. And I just did a film room on him. I'm probably going to post it up right over here. Here's a guy that is explosive. He can win down the field. But not only can he win down the field, but he can use that to set up his underneath routes. I heard Daniel Jeremiah kind of talk about him potentially being this year's version of Chris Olave, and I can see that. I like Chris Olave a lot better coming out of Ohio State, but then he goes to the Saints and blows up. Jordan Addison, I think, could have a similar type impact. I really like Treylon Burks a lot, but this team needs more juice. They need a guy that can stretch the field, a guy that can open up the underneath for Treylon Burks, for Chigokonkwo. And I think giving this receiving room a lot more explosiveness, that's why I think Jordan Addison could potentially be that 11th pick, and that's why he's my 12th rated player for them. All right, pick 13. I have another cornerback. This is Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State. This guy is like a mini version of Sauce Gardner. When I watched him, he reminded me a lot of Sauce Gardner, but he's 6 foot. Sauce Gardner was 6'4". Fluid, explosive. Like I said, just a little bit smaller. And I think if he was 6'2", 6'3", we'd be talking about him as a top 10 pick. And so I don't know if he's, once again, going to be that pick at 11, but if for some reason the Titans move back, guys fly off the board, heck, maybe he's available to them in the second round. I think he's a great fit. He's a good man cover guy. He can play some zone. I just think he's a really good fit for the Titans, and I think he's one of the better cornerbacks in this class. I just think other guys might go ahead of him. All right, pick 14, I have Andrew Voorhees, the left guard for USC, and I am out on an island. Not a lot of people have Andrew Voorhees ranked very high. Not a lot of people have him even going in the first round. I do. I think he's that good. He's at this point, I think he's my number one interior offensive line prospect. When I watched him in the multiple games that I saw him this year at USC, he's a guy that's converted left tackle in the guard, and he looks that way. He's agile. He's He's light on his feet. He can cover mirror guys in pass protection. He's got improved. He's stronger than people give him credit for. He's shown the ability to move and steer guys in the run game. Left guard's a big need. That's why I have him ranked this high, because I think he could come in and start day one. And I think a lot of people, when they see like, oh, hey, he's not ranked very high on a lot of people's boards, but we see with NFL teams when they construct their boards, they're constructing it for their team. And so Andrew Voorhees, like I said, my 14th rated player, he may be high on some teams' boards, and they end up taking him in the second round. They're like, hey, he was a top 10 player for us. That happens every single year. And I think left guard is a big need. So that's why Andrew Voorhees is a highly rated prospect for me. And not only is he a highly rated prospect, I think he's a perfect fit for the Titans. And then rounding out my top 15, I have another guard. That's Osiris Torrance, the right guard for Georgia. I think the Titans' offensive line is going to go through quite a change. Both guard positions could be upgraded. Who knows what they do, what Ben Jones does at center. And so I think offensive line is going to be heavy. Osiris Torrance plays the right guard, whereas the left guard's the biggest need. So, they might just take him and say, hey, you're our right guard, and we'll figure out the left guard position later. Here's a guy that's big. He made the jump from Louisiana to Florida and didn't skip a beat, goes to the Senior Bowl and is one of the better Senior Bowl players out there. He's big. He's physical. He's not the most agile, not like Andrew Voorhees, who can move a lot better, but he's physical at the point of attack. He's going to move you. He's good enough in pass protection. He's got enough agility. He's got those arms that can lock onto you in the pass game. So once again, this team really needs to improve their offensive line. So that's why I have so many offensive linemen in my top 15. All right, there you go. There's my top 15. I have a strong feeling that the Titans' first-round picking at 11, they're going to end up taking one of these guys. I don't know which one right now. They could very well move up in the draft, go target one of these guys, trade up to go get them. They might sit still and let one of them fall to them. But I think here picking at 11, the Titans are in a great spot to get a future cornerstone of their franchise, and I can't wait to see who they're going to be. So, like I said, this is going to be fluid. I'll probably put out another one of these, kind of put out some more of my player breakdowns, rankings, and guys that the Titans could take. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you check out the Tighten Up Blue Network and everybody else. We'll see you later.